This is a great tradition that we have here at Westminster. It's my second year of being part of it, and I have come to cherish this time where we get a chance to speak on behalf on each and every one of these seniors. And so we have been given a time limit, and we're going to try to do our best, as Mr. O'Neill said, to try to keep to a 2-minute time limit. We've actually been given a little timer, so I feel like I'm at the Oscars, and when that thing goes to about 10 seconds, I'm probably going to be sweating when I come up here and speak. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and begin our faculty remarks.
Okay. Amy Chan resembles one of the character types we have studied in ancient literature, the young, reluctant hero, distinguished early in life by special talents. For Amy, these talents include accomplishments in mathematics, science, languages, literature, writing, studio arts, music, and tennis. After an initial period of preparation, the hero of literature often journeys far away from home in order to begin the heroic quest. Amy, when you go to the University of Pennsylvania next year, you will leave behind Westminster, where you have studied for 14 years, and Augusta, where you have spent your whole life. You will have a clean slate as far as other people's expectations of you. You have a chance to begin anew, to rewrite your story, and to erase your own doubts about what you can do. You will determine other people's expectations of you by the expectations you place on yourself. In the opening weeks of college, no one will expect you to be the quiet one in class, unless you are. It will be the ideal time for you to take up the heroic mantle and make your voice heard. That's it. Caleb Lively can appreciate this paradox. A blessing can be a curse, and a curse can be a blessing. Caleb has been blessed with the ability to learn easily. At the beginning of AP Latin last year, Caleb's essays were concise, hit all the key points, and would have received full credit on the AP exam. These essays, however, were forgettable. The curse was that writing came too easily, and the grade of A fell far short of Caleb's potential. When Caleb was encouraged to develop his ideas more fully, his essays became eloquent, profound, and memorable. He produced work that was off the grading scale. Caleb, do not settle to reach the top of the scale. Achievement commensurate with your ability lies beyond the A. You will know you are setting high goals when the work challenges you. Struggling against the odds will seem like a curse, but you will eventually realize it is a blessing when you achieve more than you yourself thought possible. In the last 2 years at Westminster, the quality of your academic work has been moving in an upward arc. If this continues at Georgia Tech, then the best is yet to come. Caroline Page always remembered to say thank you. She expressed genuine appreciation for the smallest favor. Caroline demonstrates who she is and what she believes by how she treats others. When Jesus was asked, "What is the greatest commandment?" he replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And a second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Caroline, when you matriculate at Georgia Tech next year, you may feel like Aeneas, the dutiful hero, when he first arrived in Libya. He was a little disoriented and unsure what direction to take in that unfamiliar world. At that moment, he received simple advice: perga modo, only proceed. To someone already striving to follow the two greatest commandments, the best advice is this: perga modo, trust your instincts, trust the training you have received at home, church, and school. You are on the right path. As the hour comes to bid you farewell, it is time to say to you, for your gracious example at Westminster, thank you, Caroline.
Students, Mr. Menendez has requested that you all come right next to the podium and smile for your parents. R.J. Strauss. R.J., you've done a great job here at Westminster. You're a key part of your senior class, and I know that you will never forget your time with your friends and the experience you had here at Westminster. And I know that they will never forget you either. You have many wonderful qualities. You show your willingness to compete and serve as you participated this past year in football, golf, and baseball. You're an extraordinary young man with many talents and gifts, and I look forward to seeing how God will use you in the future. I've been extremely honored to be your coach the past 3 years on the football field as you've been our quarterback, and I'm grateful for your willingness to play baseball while completing a stellar golf career. I pray that you will seek God daily and that you will prepare well to be a good husband and a good father one day. The verse I selected for you, it's my favorite passage of Scripture, and it comes from John 15:5. Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So RJ, I want to encourage you. I also want to challenge you to stay close to the Lord, because apart from him, you can do nothing. But with him, you have great purpose and great power. Connor Herron. Connor, you're a very talented young man with many gifts, and the Lord has truly blessed you. You've been a big part of Westminster for many, many years, and you will be greatly missed. When I first met you, Connor, you were someone I always had to keep my eye on, especially because one of my daughters told me that you were her boyfriend because she liked your hair. But despite that, as I said to you at the beginning of the year, you are truly a leader. You can take charge when needed or be the one who leads by example. Connor's a hard worker. He's very driven. When given a task, Connor will not only try his best to complete it, but he will complete it with excellence. Connor, you added so much to our football team over the many years. Your career on offense and defensive side of the ball, you were a key player for our basketball team the past 2 years as they went on to play in 2 Final Fours. And your play this year as keeper for our state championship soccer team cannot be matched. In fact, for your play this spring, you were named All-State, which I'll give you a plaque for in just a moment. Connor, I can't wait to see how God will use you in the future as long as you stay devoted to him. And I'll leave you with the passage of Scripture, Proverbs 27:12, that says this: the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and suffer for it. So, Connor, I pray that God will allow you to see danger and temptation long before they get to you, that he will give you the wisdom to know exactly what to do, and that he would give you the courage to do it.
Miss Carly Rhoden. There she is. She's so little you can't hardly see her. Carly, you are both well-liked and well-respected at Westminster. It has been a privilege for me to have been your middle school and varsity tennis coach. for the last 7 years. I love Carly Q, that's her nickname, because of her wonderful quality traits she possesses. Being her tennis coach, I've enjoyed watching you mature into a wonderful young lady. Your determination and hard work will help you succeed in every area of your life. You have been a great example of what a student athlete at Westminster should be. Carly, you are kind, honest, intelligent, thoughtful, trustworthy, a team player, and a fair opponent on the court. I'd like to share some quality traits that your teachers have observed during your high school years. Carly is said to be tenacious, a diligent student, very creative, upbeat, and cheerful. In closing, I'd like to leave you with this challenge, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Carly will be attending Georgia Southern in the fall.
Sam Polk. One of my favorite Bible stories is about a story by the name of Samuel. You may remember that Samuel's mother, Hannah, wanted a son more than anything, so she prayed and asked God to give her a son. She promised God that if he would give her a son, she would give him back to the Lord. God gave Hannah a son, and she kept her promise. When Samuel was old enough, she took him to the temple where he was to be trained by Eli the priest. Well, as I began to think about Sam Polk and his time at Westminster, I found that there were some parallels in each of these two men's journeys. Although Sam is not a firstborn child in his family, he does come from a large family. And Samuel's family honored the Lord, just as I know the Polk family does. From talking with the Polks, I know that they want what is best for Sam and all of their children when it concerns every phase of their lives. The same can be said of the prophet's parents. Sam, your name means asked of God or heard by God. To me, this shows that your parents wanted God to use you from the very start. They gave you to your church and school to be trained in the way that you should go, very much like Samuel was given to Eli for training. And as you go to Berry College for more training, my challenge to you is to listen for God's call, just as Samuel did, and then fulfill what he asks of you.
Christian Bailey. Christian, you are a fine young man with amazing gifts, and I'm grateful to have been a part of your life the past 4 years. You've meant so much to the Tebbs family. I appreciate you as a person of great character who works hard and cares for others. You're bright, thoughtful, and trustworthy. Christian's greatest quality to me is that of meekness. Not weakness, but meekness. Meekness is best defined as an attitude towards God in which we accept God's dealings as good, and therefore we do not dispute or we resist him. Christian finds delight in doing the will of his heavenly Father each day. It's been a tremendous testimony to me in my life. Christian, I'm proud of you, how you've grown spiritually this year. I'll never forget the many talks in my office where you expressed your love and concern for your classmates. Your sharing of God's calling to serve him one day in ministry moves me. And it's been awesome to watch God develop you into the man you are. And I know your mother and grandmother and family are very proud of you. My prayer for you is in Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. I love you as a son, and I wish the best for you.
Good evening. May I ask Matt Coon to come forward, please? And then also would Cecilia Lee, would you mind coming and standing in the wings, and Josiah? Matt, I'm pleased to welcome you to the podium this evening. Our time together in the classroom, AP Environmental Science and Modern Thought, has been all too brief. Nonetheless, being your teacher has been rewarding. I'm proud to have played a small part in your education. What makes me proud is how you have successfully used the opportunities given to you to prepare for university. You've worked hard and have worked hard with an appreciative attitude towards those who have helped you along the way. Your maturity as a high school senior is evident. You've been responsible and willing to help others as needed. On a bit of a lighter note, I thought I would read some of your quotes of what you learned in Modern Thought. Quote, "Some philosophy is either really stupid or really complex and intriguing." I learned how to make Ben Whitlow mad. And Chandler has some really weird views about time. So I think I might need to revamp Modern Thought. Matt, your kind demeanor and respectful manner add shine to a person of humility and quality. May the Lord bless you as you continue your education at Georgia College. Look to Him in all your ways. I offer this verse as a guiding principle. Proverbs chapter 7, "Be wise, my student, make my heart glad, that I may answer him who reproaches me. The prudent sees danger and hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it." Matt, be prudent. Cecilia, I'm so proud of you. You're on your way to Skidmore College in upstate New York. Of course, that's my home state, so that's nice. I extend my congratulations to you for a job well done. The tasks that you have completed are particularly impressive because you have done them all in a foreign language and in a foreign culture. I know that the phenomenon of globalization is almost routine in today's world, and it has brought about an international exchange of goods and ideas and groups. But that which is viewed on a grand scale is not necessarily easily lived out as an individual. I commend you for your English language abilities, your smooth integration into American high school culture, though I was hoping you would rub off more on my students than them on you. Your willingness to learn from Westminster and doing so with aplomb. You have represented your home nation very well. Tomorrow, you will be presented with your high school diploma, the award for hard work, diligence, and perseverance. Tonight, I have another award for you, your senior Bible. Each year, Westminster presents our students with the Bible. The diploma represents academics, and may I say, reason. The Bible represents faith. Our hope and prayer is that the two, faith and reason, are well integrated at Westminster and in our graduates. Cecilia, my sincerest congratulations. Josiah, come on up here closer. I want them all to see how much bigger you are than I am, because I surely have to. Josiah, you have finished high school. Tomorrow at graduation, you will have in hand your well-earned diploma. It's an appropriate time to look back and to evaluate in order to prepare for what is to come. The words of the Apostle Paul, written to Timothy, come to my mind. Paul, looking back over his life, says that he has fought the good fight, finished the race, and kept the faith. That is an assessment that we all want to be able to make when we look back over our life. Josiah, you have kept the faith. You have been faithful. You can move proudly forward to your future. I feel quite privileged to have taught all of your siblings, and now as the last young Smith completes his studies at Westminster, I'm equally pleased to have been your teacher. You have upheld the quality of character and of diligence and service to our Lord that your siblings before you exhibited. Finally, Josiah, you are about to become a freshman at Clemson. Freshman year at any institution isn't particularly easy, so I'd like to send you off with the same challenge that Paul gave to Timothy. Quote, "Let no one look down upon you for your youthfulness, but set the believers an example in your speech and your conduct in love, in faith, and in purity." Now, Josiah, I certainly hope that you remember me for more than one thing, but I also have to take a moment to brag. Please remember me for the one teacher who beat you in arm wrestling.
Anna Grimm. Since teaching you through various musical experiences, I have been blessed by witnessing your joy of life. 3 words come to your mind when I think of you: joy, enthusiasm, and encouragement. Joy, whether performing, studying, or interacting with others, you do so with a continual, contented, and overflowing spirit. As you know, this joy is not the absence of heartache or frustration, but a fullness of joy from the Lord himself. Continue to seek and give his joy. Enthusiasm. Quick to seek new opportunities and to put learning into action, you love life and are eager to get the most out of it as possible. Continue to seek God, in whose hand are pleasures forever. His gifts to you will never run out. Encouragement. Whether actively helping classmates achieve their best or by simply being a compassionate friend, you allow God's Spirit to overflow into the lives of others. As you have seen God make his path known to you, continue to point others to him. These 3 themes are summarized in Psalm 16:11. Speaking of God, David says, "You will make known to me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. In your right hand there are pleasures forever." This is my challenge to you, Anna, that no matter what God's path holds for you, you continue to hold your head high as you seek and experience his presence. Thank you for your joyous impact on me and on Westminster. Caroline Kane. I remember first meeting you when you were playing violin for a school function 2 years ago. No surprise there. And I'm so thankful to have experienced many more musical moments with you since then. Through each one of them, I have continued to witness your talent and your giving heart and your unwavering Christ focus. The passage of scripture that comes to mind for you is 1 Corinthians 14:15. I will pray with the Spirit, and I will pray with the mind also. I will sing with the Spirit, and I will sing with the mind also. As a student of the Lord first, and a student of music second, you demonstrate true wisdom and humility in performing. You also faithfully steward your talents by giving to others through your compositions, including an occasional Latin musical setting of text from Mr. Nichols' class. As God has given you an eye for truth and his redemptive work in this world, you exhibit a clear focus on Christ. As you state in your own poem, recently published in our literary magazine, which speaks of the magic mirror technological delusions of modern society. Magic mirror on the wall, there is but one hope for escaping your thrall. The chains of your lies can be cut by the sword of the Spirit of Christ, our true Savior and Lord. As you pursue your goals of both majoring in music and preparing for medical school, keep using his sword, the very word of God, and I know that God will continue to bless countless others through your life, and we will miss you.
Lauren McGahee. In Paradise Lost, John Milton wrote, "Be strong, live happy, and love. But first of all, him whom to love is to obey, and keep his great command." I know we live in a fallen world, and yet in you, Lauren, I see a glimpse of that world restored. Your intentional and disciplined effort to love and obey God, and your deep and sincere compassion for others clearly reflect Christ's teaching in Matthew 22. When I think of all the attributes you possess, I keep remembering the lyrics of the Sabbath blessing from Fiddler on the Roof. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. Perhaps that's in part because of your beautiful singing voice and because of your work in Westminster's theatrical productions. But I think the main reason is that, in so many ways, you are like Ruth and like Esther. Gentle, loyal, unselfish, pursuing excellence in whatever you do, willing to take risks to do the right thing, pouring yourself out for the sake of others. In short, you are a blessing and an example to everyone who knows you. As you step into adulthood, I'm confident that you will continue in your desire to surrender yourself completely to God. In doing so, I encourage you to follow Jesus' examples. Regularly seek out quiet time to be alone with the Father. Rest when you are tired, and nourish yourself so that your physical health will support your spiritual growth. Enjoy the fellowship of a few close friends, and tell everyone you can the good news. From Psalm 95, "O come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation." Austin Connor Stokes. Hear these words from Psalm 139. "You formed me in my mother's womb. You knew me inside and out. You know every bone in my body. All the stages of my life were spread out before you. The days of my life all prepared before I'd even lived a day." Coach Tubbs told me that it was a privilege for him to coach you these past 4 years. He went on to praise your work ethic, your love for the game, your many achievements and awards, and your development into a team player who put the interest of others in front of himself. I echo Coach Tubbs' view that it has been a privilege to work with you these past 4 years. I admire the way you faced the mountains in your path with determination, perseverance, uncomplaining effort, and the character of a man who doesn't look for an easy way out of a tough situation. I appreciate your unfailing courtesy and your willingness to pursue a goal until you achieve it. Tomorrow you will receive a Westminster diploma, no small accomplishment for anyone. NBA All-Star player and Harvard graduate Jeremy Lin said, "Sometimes you come up against a mountain and you end up making the mountain bigger than God." There's still many mountains ahead of you, Austin, but He made the mountains and He made you. Even the biggest mountains will pale in comparison to His glory and His eternal plan for you.
Deja Malone. Who at Westminster hasn't marveled at Deja's acrobatic skills? Gymnastics is a passion for her. but that's not all there is to Deja. She's got a good head. She made an A in physics, a good heart, a strong faith, and is very easy to talk to. And over this past year, we've had a number of good talks and swap stories about life experiences. Deja's from a military family. So am I. Deja lived in Hawaii, and I didn't. Now, to be a state champion, as Mr. Coleman reminded us, in any sport is quite an accomplishment. So when I tell you that at the tender age of 14, Deja won 4 national gold medals at the Junior Olympics, including Best All-Round Gymnast, you have to stop and think. This is one talented young lady. Miss Ebersol, Deja's former cheer coach, told me Deja was a joy to coach. She was a sweet, humble person, and she always did what she was told. No complaints or hesitations. And I definitely agree with that. Deja, my challenge to you is simple. It is written in Philippians chapter 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. Let your gentleness be evident to all. Do not be anxious about anything. And whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, think about such things, and the God of peace will be with you. Deja, I pray much success for you, and I wish you luck at cheer, and I am going to be saying a prayer for you because I know that you are still struggling with a sore back. And so I'll end this by saying aloha. Meredith McElmurray. A few years ago, Meredith shared a story with me. She was a pen pal to a young girl in India. In one of her letters, Meredith asked the young girl, if you could have anything in the world, what would you ask for? And the young girl wrote back, blue jeans. And many times, when I began to feel sorry for myself, I often think about that little girl's response. And Meredith, I thank you for sharing that story with me. And I thank you for sending that little girl those blue jeans. But that is so Meredith, so generous, so willing to sacrifice for others. In the big picture, she was manager of the football team throughout high school. And this year, she was also manager of the soccer team. She's involved in Upward Bound at First Pres, and she is already committed to working with youth up in Anderson next year. And so what does Meredith want to be in life? An elementary school teacher, and I bless her for that. In everyday life, I have watched how that $1 million smile infects the people around you. It is so infectious. Meredith, here's my challenge to you. Keep focusing on your relationship with the Lord. From Matthew chapter 5, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine before men that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. And Meredith, through your love for people, you have been a shining light for me, and I'll never forget you. Thank you. Christina Rentas. Now, Christina probably thinks that I am going to talk about how much we're going to miss her next year. She's made quite an impact at Westminster as an athlete, as a student, as homecoming queen, as a friend, and as a strong Christian. But Christina, I'm afraid that I have time for only one thing tonight. Yes, And I think it's only fitting that I end your high school career by telling your favorite joke. And I know it's your favorite joke because you have told it so many times. She even wrote it at the bottom of her exam. You ready? Do you know what President Obama's favorite vegetable is? Broccoli. Get it? Broccoli. Maybe it was funny. They're laughing. Seriously, this is serious. I do want to say that you have made this year a real pleasure for me, and I do pray that you will continue to love the Lord and enjoy playing soccer at Berry College. From Proverbs 23, do not let your heart envy sinners, but always be zealous for the fear of the Lord. There is surely a future hope for you, and your hope will not be cut off. Listen and be wise, and keep your heart on the right path. And now, Christina, I do have something special for you, and it's just something that I thought I would give you so that you would always remember Westminster.
Michael Montescleros. When thinking of Michael, a number of characteristics come to mind. He has a good sense of humor, a pretty unique laugh. He definitely enjoys his friends, is passionate about soccer, and justice is important to him. And I say justice is important to him because he swears that there was not one yellow card he received this year that was just. I didn't do anything, Coach. In what has been a long and winding journey, I am extremely excited to be standing here with you today. You have grown and matured over the past 5 years, overcome adversity, and gained a better understanding of God's plan for your life. This year, one of our highlights has definitely been winning the state championship last week. After the game, you were physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted. You'd put so much into that game that you had nothing left. You led the team through your passion and effort. This is a great picture of how you approach the things in life that you're passionate about. We've talked about how your greatest leadership trait is your ability to lead by example. People watch you and look up to you, whether you know it or not. As you head off to the United States Merchant Marine Academy Prep School, I want to leave you with the following verse. 1 Peter 5:10 says, "In his kindness, God called you to share in his eternal glory by means of Jesus Christ. So after you have suffered a little while, he will restore, support, and strengthen you, and he will replace you on a firm foundation." Tonight I'm presenting Michael with his senior Bible as well as an all-state plaque for varsity soccer. Joe Coleman. First of all, as you head up, wherever you are, where are you, Joe? Okay. Do you even know what Mama Anasema Tutashina means? Well, for those of you who don't, it simply means Mom says we're going to win. And for those of you who don't know, that was the pregame chant that our guys used this year. If I've ever heard a rally cry that would strike fear into the hearts of the opponent, it's that one. We all know Mom knows best, and you don't ever argue with them. Over the past 4 years, a number of things have become evident to me about you. You love life, you enjoy fellowship with friends and family, you give 100% to those things you're passionate about, you're an optimist, and you influence people. God has really gifted and equipped you with these things to do great things for him in the future. As we have already talked about, a lot of times we think of blessings as only a now thing, when really God's blessings always have a future intent. Think on how God has equipped you and blessed you now, and how they can have an influence in the future. As you go off to the University of Georgia next year, I want to encourage you to pursue Christ passionately. You have the ability to change people's lives simply by the way you live. Proverbs 5:20-23 says, "My child, pay attention to what I say. Listen carefully to my words. Don't lose sight of them. Let them penetrate deep into your heart, for they bring life to those who find them and healing to the whole body. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." In addition to the senior Bible, Joe will also receive an all-state plaque for varsity soccer this year. Caleb Herron. First of all, no, you may not keep the state championship trophy. It's still my office, right? Okay. Although you might have earned it over your many years at Westminster, and it would look good in your dorm room, it's just not appropriate. Having said that, it is my pleasure to speak on your behalf. You're one of the most unique people I've ever met, and that is a good thing. You sing slightly off-key, but are convinced you're hitting the note. Every time you walked into my office, I wondered what new idea you'd come up with. Over the past 4 years, you have entered cooking contests and won, researched starting a short shorts company and thought about starting it, tried convincing classmates to buy stock with you, and applied to over 500 colleges. Seriously, though, you have been a great leader, classmate, teammate, and student at Westminster. I can see our theme lived out in your life daily. Get real. You know of no other way to live. You have been a great example to me, the faculty, and your classmates of what it looks like to embrace God's perfect plan. Psalm 101, 1-2 and 5 states, "I will sing of your love and justice, Lord. I will praise you with songs. I will be careful to live a blameless life. When will you come to help me? I will lead a life of integrity in my own home. I will search for faithful people to be my companions." Caleb will be heading to the University of Georgia this fall, rooming with Joe Coleman. Good luck with that. And today he is receiving his senior Bible and also an all-state plaque for boys varsity soccer. Congratulations.
So I've been asked to speak on Kevin Nadeau. He is actually not here, but I thought I'd still honor him this evening by speaking on his behalf. So these are the words I'd say to him, and since it's being recorded, he will hopefully get a chance to hear them. I'm so excited to be speaking to Kevin this evening. I knew from the first time I met you that there was something interesting about you. I remember the first few times I said hello and asked how you were doing, and your response was always, "I'm fine." So I made it my mission that before you graduated, I would make sure you had a good day and that you would tell me such. And I believe you had it in mind to never tell me that you were good. As we got closer to the end of your time here, I thought you were going to win. But Kevin, on a spring morning, I finally got the words I had been wanting to hear from you for almost 2 years. I'm good. We both shared a good smile and laugh, knowing how long it took to get those words to come out of you. You're an insightful, contemplative, and brilliant young man. When you speak, you always have something for those around you to ponder. And as you step into your next educational endeavor, I will leave you with 2 challenges. Follow the words of Paul. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what it is, the will of God. And follow your passions. Your dreams and passions can take you to places that you never thought you would be able to go. I'm thankful to have been your advisor, and more importantly, I'm thankful that I can call you a friend. I'm also privileged to be up here to speak to Austin Wolfgram. If you told me last year that I'd be speaking on his behalf, I think Austin and I would be giving each other the, "Are you kidding me?" Let's just say Austin loved to oppose anything I said last year as his principal, and I mean anything. What a completely different young man you have been this year, not only to me, but to everyone around you. You have grown and matured so much, and to see your faith blossom this year has been truly awesome. You've been honest about your faith and your struggles with me, and I'm grateful that I've had a small part in encouraging you through this year. I don't know why this sticks out, but one of my favorite memories I will cherish about you happened a few weeks ago. You actually came up to me at prom wanting to introduce me to your prom date. I don't know why that sticks in my mind, but the pleasure you had in your face was priceless. I don't know, and I didn't know a student would be so excited to introduce their principal to their date, as most would just turn the other way and leave the vicinity as quickly as possible as soon as I would enter. But it was just a great memory. I know you made a commitment to grow in your faith this past summer, and I pray that as you go on to college, that you will find faithful brothers and sisters in Christ who you can confide in and grow faithfully with. Thank you for your courage to be bold about your faith. May God continue to bless you, and may you forever abound in the grace and love of Christ.
Nathan Vitale. Nathan, I asked your teachers to give me some words to describe you. Some of the words were polite, respectful, friendly, and positive. They said you have a good sense of humor and care about those around you. Intellectually, you're described as willing to ask questions and as being thoughtful, being willing to actually think about the subject with which you're dealing. Spiritually, you're unafraid to be yourself. You're willing to be candid about your faith in front of your peers. You're also described as a person of many talents. The talent which impressed me the most this year is your musical ability. The way you've used that ability in chapel to joyfully and enthusiastically lead the upper school in worship. My challenge to you as you go off to college comes from your Proverbs project, which you recently turned into for Modern Thought class. Mr. Merwin shared with me your concluding remarks from that project. You wrote, "This project has helped create a pattern for me to abide by. Every day I would set aside 20 minutes to read the scriptures, and I found that it was very beneficial in my spiritual walk. The pattern truly was very helpful because I prayed that I would set a cycle in which I would set aside time to listen and read and speak with the Lord. As you head off to college, I challenge you to maintain that pattern of daily scripture reading and prayer. As the psalmist writes in verses 89 to 91 of Psalm 119, your word, O Lord, is eternal. It stands firm in the heavens. Your faithfulness continues through all generations. You establish the earth, and it endures. Your laws endure to this day, for all things serve you."
Jonathan Gore. Tonight I'm here to honor Jonathan Gore. Having watched this young boy become a man is one of the many joys of being a 6th through 12th grade teacher here at Westminster. You were once a small 6th grader who loved action painting and cardboard structures, and now you can drive tractors and weld steel. Jonathan is like a man, like home improvement kind of guy. He's a doer and always having some kind of project going. You desire the knowledge to figure out how something works and why it works the way it does. You've built beautiful sets for fine arts with random scraps of wood. You've worked your summers plowing fields for your grandfather, building cars with your dad, activities that create lasting bonds and memories that are far more important than what video game you beat that weekend. Hard, honest labor. That's what I see in you, and something not easily achieved, but will always be respected. Takes a great deal of self-motivation and optimistic perspective, character traits that are evident in you. Not only do you have book knowledge, but you also have skill and craftsmanship, which are rare in today's upcoming generation. I wanted to share with all of you something that Lily posted on Instagram recently, a beautiful example of how you are loved. Jonathan, you are so many things to me. Fashion advisor, gym buddy, shopping partner, crisis averter, buffer, best friend, boy advisor, and even though you won't admit it, you are my clique. I love you so much, and I don't know how I'm going to replace you while you go away to college. I'm so proud of you graduating. Good luck at North Georgia. Jonathan, though you may be quiet and sometimes mysterious here at school, I know that you long for creation and knowledge, justice and love. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Go out and do great works for the Lord. Qing chen ai du lu shui shong tai. I am speaking to you, Nora. Did I do that good? I have the privilege of honoring Nora Liu tonight. I did not bring any tissue. Sorry, Mr. Bell. You told me to. What can I say about her? She's unique, she's fashionable, sleepy, she's a deep thinker. You are truly an incredibly gifted young woman. Nora walks to a beat, a different beat than everybody else, one that might not be fast or popular. She works at her own pace, and in art class, this was hard to appreciate. Nora took AP Studio Art from me and received my Art Spirit Award this year. She did not receive this award because she made the highest grade or turned in work in on time. I don't think she turned any work in on time for anybody. However, she did not sleep in my class. She received this award because she made art, not for me, not for her parents. She made art because she's meant to be a creator, and it is her will to create. She excelled on every work because it is built into her, and she was not concerned about due dates and grades. She was concerned about making something honest and true, full of beauty and excellence. Nora has reminded me personally why we love to create. We are like our maker, like the artist of all artists. It is a living, breathing desire to love truth and beauty and to create it, whether in art or in music. Our ability to create is a gift that we need to share with others. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Nora, heading to Boston University, becoming the city girl that you desire to be. I've enjoyed every minute of you this year. Your thoughts run deeper than the average teenager, and even though your beat doesn't match to those around you, this is who you are and who you are meant to be. Allow the Lord to pierce your heart so that you can create for his glory. Yuan shong di bo yo ni zai wei lai chu dong chu gong. I really tore that last one up.
Mallory Walters. Mallory recently calculated and announced that she had spent 12% of her senior year on AP Chemistry. I haven't checked that calculation, but certainly Mallory made efficient use of the other 88% of her time this year. Other AP courses, cheerleading, tennis, prefect position, upward bound leadership, family, and friends. While at Westminster, Mallory has definitely not been, as Theodore Roosevelt wrote, one of those cold and timid souls who knows neither victory nor defeat. The victories to which she has contributed include a region championship in Science Olympiad, Westminster's first state championship in competitive cheerleading, and being part of the first women's tennis team to qualify as a unit to compete in the state tournament. Mallory leaves Westminster, the Walters Grand Finale, to pursue her study at the University of Georgia in preparation for a career as a physician's assistant. As you continue in your studies, Mallory, you will, I am confident, continue to be the excellent student you have been, alert, tenacious, thorough, and insightful. There was a wise saying of King Solomon on the face page of your review notebook: the glory of kings is to search out a matter. A wise pastor once said that each Christian should be a scholar king. It honors and dignifies God to seek knowledge. May you continue to be such a scholar and delight in your studies. There's another commitment to which you've been faithful during these years, and that is your commitment to Christian fellowship and ministry. There's nothing more important, so continue to make that a priority in your life as you go off to Athens. May God bless you and keep you as you go out for here. May God keep you in the narrow way all of your life. Claire Zecca. Claire was sort of an accuracy barometer for me in AP Chemistry this year. Occasionally her face, which usually reflected concentration and understanding, clouded as if with confusion, or maybe more accurately, doubt. Eventually I realized that when Claire's countenance clouded, it was not that she didn't understand an idea or problem. Rather, it was that I had made a mistake or said something or written something confusing or wrong, which needed to be corrected or clarified before we went on, so that was helpful. Claire has maximized her time during these years of upper school to accomplish a great deal. In addition to the time she spent on AP and honors courses at Westminster, Claire has contributed in her upper school career in many ways: as a class officer in Science Olympiad the year we were first of 27 teams, as a member of Westminster's first state championship competitive cheerleading team, in varsity soccer as a member of that state championship team that year. Was your freshman year? Sophomore year. Claire is one of those who is chosen, as Theodore Roosevelt put it, to be in the arena. One of those souls he described as knowing the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, spending herself in many worthy causes. So Claire, as you begin your study of nursing in the Honors College at Georgia Southern on the path to becoming a nurse practitioner, may you be confident that, like King David, with God's help, you can leap over any wall. You have demonstrated ability, perseverance, and good humor in your great enthusiasms and great devotions while at Westminster. You've been a good steward of the gifts God has given you, and you've also made a point of spending time in activities which strengthen and mature your faith. Consider the effort you've made thus far to be close to the Lord Jesus. When you get to Statesboro, make that a priority, and may God keep you in the narrow way all of your life.
Coming into the game now is Caitlin Newberry. That's Newbury. You had to be at the quarterfinal game to understand that. When I taught you in Bible in 7th grade, I saw a girl who was outgoing, fun-loving, opinionated, strong-willed, and determined. You have also strong qualities. But you have added to those things a desire to be a leader with a servant's heart. You care about justice and fairness, particularly when it relates to something important to your friends, your family, or you. C.S. Lewis reminds us that God has built into us the moral law and our sense of fairness. Caitlin, I want to leave you with this challenge from Micah 6:8. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, you've got that down, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. I encourage you to continue to wed your God-given desire for justice with your ever-growing understanding of God's mercy in your life by focusing on others, by being willing to forgive the failures of well-intentioned sinners, and most importantly, by walking hand in hand with the God who will use you in amazing ways on the campus of Georgia College as a leader with a servant's heart. In class, I always knew that I could count on Katie Brock to engage a question and to begin a lively discussion. If another particular student was in the room, I had to be ready with a fire hose in case it got too hot. Katie, you made the right choice to return to Westminster for your last 3 years of high school. Your teachers and your classmates have had an important role in helping you to become the young woman that you are today. Your transparent self-confidence is refreshing and truly remarkable for an 18-year-old. You know who you are, and it really doesn't matter what other people think. Where does that kind of confidence come from? Well, you are quick to credit Christ, and I would add your mother, your stepfather, your father, your friends, and teachers have been used in various diverse ways by God to help mold you into the person He wants you to be. Now you're off to the University of Alabama. A new world of opportunity and challenge await you. Don't forget the lessons learned at Westminster on the field of faith, but like the Apostle Paul, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called you heavenward in Christ Jesus. That prize might not be what others have in mind for you, but you know it's true in eternal value.
Leela Knox. When I think of Leela, I tend to imagine her animated and all excited about something. She may be encouraging a friend, getting sentimental over a story she just heard, or setting someone straight. Maybe she's telling someone they have to try watching her current favorite TV show, or bemoaning that she can't even finish all her homework. But excited or frustrated, she's passionate, sure of herself, and ready to communicate. She's also thoughtful and good with people. She impresses you as a young woman who cares enough to have opinions. Her relationships are strong and lasting because she's honest, tough, affectionate, and loyal. Her love for her family is evident, and she is transparent enough that others can feel sure of her. It's refreshing that we know how she feels, where she stands, and where we stand in her estimation. She doesn't hide behind self-consciousness or fear, and that makes her strong and an influential leader. I'm looking so forward to seeing what Leela will accomplish in the coming years at the University of Georgia. Leela, I challenge you to maintain your boldness and strong-mindedness, and also to clothe yourself in compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, so that you can keep learning from God and others. These traits together will make you powerful and effective for the Lord. He has created you to have unique influence, and I pray for you that you'll be open to His leading and accomplish a great deal in His power. Rebecca McGahey. Rebecca enjoys life. She loves children, her friends and family, and all the things that make life vibrant and fun. She keeps busy and seems game for trying almost anything. Her friendships are strong and numerous, and she finds great joy in relationships. One of Rebecca's unique qualities is how she combines this young at heart enthusiasm with a capacity to really apply herself and grow through challenges. As a student, Rebecca targets her weaknesses and makes great use of her strengths in an impressive way. She sticks with a book or a concept or a thorny part of an essay until she figures out an approach that works for her. This demonstrates a humility that will take her far. Knowing that Rebecca hopes to continue working with children, I think of Christ's reminder to His disciples to receive the kingdom of God like a little child. I see that spirit in her now, when she won't let circumstances deflate her or rob her of her joy in things. Rebecca, I pray for you that even as you remain young at heart, you will keep growing in your commitment to set an example for other believers in speech and conduct, in love and faith and in purity. God has a powerful purpose for the nurturing spirit that he gave you. And I look forward to how he will continue to fulfill his purposes in you, starting over the next few years at Georgia Southern University. Katie Stewart Schaefer. Katie Stewart has a gentle and quiet spirit. She is interested in many things: travel and music, humor, culture, and the world around her. But she doesn't insist on others noticing and praising her for her tastes and experiences. Her reserved nature rewards patience, and her friendships are strong and have roots. I appreciate that she's attentive to others and helps them to shine. She's also deeply committed to her family, and her siblings bring her great joy. Her family bonds have centered her and helped provide her with a strong foundation of confidence and identity. Katie Stewart, you pay appreciative attention to the world around you, and you form deep bonds with others. These two qualities reflect the image of God in you. He has designed you with the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in his sight. As you head to Presbyterian College, I pray for you that he will also keep growing you to be brave and bold in his strength. You have many gifts to offer a world that so needs to experience Christian love, humility, and loyalty. You've embraced an opportunity to go to a new place and build new relationships, and I look forward to seeing you grow in confidence and love as you pursue those in Christ.
John David, make sure your shirt is tucked in. No, you cannot go to the bathroom. Now come up here. I believe that JD is secretly plotting to take over the world. Anyone who is that laid back and easygoing must be up to something. That's why he's always smiling. JD knows that we are all doomed. This has nothing to do with the rest of my comments. It's just a public service announcement. You're welcome. I have greatly appreciated getting to know JD over these last few years. JD's good nature and willingness to keep class lighthearted has been a tremendous blessing both to me and to his classmates. But I insist that this good-natured surface hides something much deeper. JD, I believe there is much more to you than even you yourself know. We have been catching glimpses of it for years now. Watching you on the football field, I saw drive and determination. I saw you struggle with overcoming a knee injury. In the classroom, I'd throw questions at JD, thinking that maybe his attention had wandered, or that he was simply autographing another piece of school property. As the year went on, more and more often, JD would throw the right answer right back at me, so he was clearly paying attention. Sorry about that. I return to my original point. JD, like the rest of us, you are not a finished product. I firmly believe that you have tremendous potential within you, but it will be up to you to decide what comes of that. I pray that you keep being you, the smiling, laid-back, friendly guy that we all know and we love. But I also pray that you become something more, that you grow those other qualities, and that you challenge yourself to be greater. So I'll close with this familiar verse from Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1. There's a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. And you're probably familiar with the rest of the list. But I pray that God grants you the knowledge to know what time it is in your life, and I pray that you know when to listen and when to act. Thank you. Chandler, where are you at, Chandler? Hurry up. I struggled with you, Chandler. What was I going to say about you tonight? Everyone knows that you are an excellent student. You're a standout athlete. You are the single most politest student on campus, I'd argue. You're a great guy. Obviously, you're voted, best to bring home to parents, and nobody took you seriously in that leather jacket. But still, I had trouble framing these comments. Literally, I erased it like 8 different times. Thanks for that. So naturally, I turned to football to help me to convey some of my ideas about you. When it was time to play, just like when Chandler does anything else, he gives it everything he has. Every player that ever lined up against Chandler knew that he was going to come after you. And if you didn't know on the first play, you certainly knew on the second. Now, the other guy might win occasionally, but he was going to have to work really hard to do it. And in this, Chandler makes those around him better. Chandler is the only football player I've ever associated with that has apologized for hitting another player. It is not an exaggeration to say that Chandler beat his man, sacked the quarterback, then helped the guy up and patted him on his back like he was sorry that he ruined his stats for the night. But even in this, Chandler understands that even in a collision sport like football, there's a right way to do things, and he does it. Chandler has found that hard work and perseverance don't always pay off right away. As a freshman, despite your growing reputation for hard work and the success that you had had the year prior, you saw very little of the field that year, to both of our frustrations. But you kept coming back and you kept working hard, and I can't tell you how much I admire you for that. So as you leave football in Westminster behind to uphold the family honor and head off to Columbia to attend the real USC, I'd encourage you to continue to hustle, to beat those around you, to refuse to let disappointment keep you down, but keep your character. It's the one thing about you that sets you apart. But I also give you a challenge, and that challenge is speak up. Speak up and speak out. You have been given gifts, but you must make use of them. Excuse me. And I do not believe that God intends you to always be the silent one. Instead, I believe that he has in it for you to be amongst the best of us. Thank you. One more, then you're done with me. Will, I'd like to start with a little story, I think, that offers a small snapshot of the young man that is William Nicholas Newton. Earlier this year, Miss Smith came to me, and she asked me to come to her room, that she wanted to show me what one of my football players had done, which is usually, not good. So it was with some trepidation that I took the assignment that she showed me. Now, this particular bit of homework had been augmented with numerous diagrams of possible defensive formations for that week's game against Augusta Prep, which we won. Now, it is not odd or special for a football player to doodle plays on an assignment. What was more significant was that the answers on this particular bit of AP chemistry homework were all right, and the defensive adjustments were almost all exactly what we ended up doing that week. And I think this story serves to just illustrate a little bit of the complexity that is Will. Will is a gifted student. He takes a demanding schedule, and he excels in all areas. As a football player, Will was my coach on the field. He set defensive fronts, and he made adjustments, and then afterward, he'd tell me about them. Will not only served as the brains of the defense, but frequently as the brawn, and he leaves here as our second leading tackler in team history. But Will's heart is much greater than all of this. Will is a young man who cares deeply for the world around him. Last year in particular, I was privileged to get to know the Will who wants to define his life goals, not by the dollars that he could earn or the prestige that a career would bring. Instead, Will wanted to find an area where he could do the most good in the world, and to go and to serve Christ in doing it. There is, of course, much more I could tell about Will. His humor, such as it is, his dangerous fascination with fire, the fact that, like his brother, he finally decided to lift weights after he had finished playing football for me. Thanks. As you head off to Clemson, Will, I'll leave you with one of my favorite passages, one that I know you are familiar with, but also serves as a very concise guide to life, also from Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. As you go off into this next phase of your life, I know that we can expect to hear of great things that you have done, not to put any pressure on you.
Aaron and I will be attending Berry College this fall. Aaron, in our culture today, we easily miss the true definition of strength and bravery. We look from side to side and we wonder how we measure up. Clouded with visions of who we are not, we forget who we were made to be. We look at the outspoken, the confident, and the popular, and we wrongly believe that the approval of the masses is not only a designation of success, but also the marker of courage. As Scripture shows us, though, giant killers are not made in times of ease. We find real courage in the midst of life's adversities, not in the absence of them. And we gain strength in our willingness to swim against the current for that which is eternal. You, Erin, are a young woman of courage. Never forget. You are loved, you are called, you have been perfectly designed. You are not lagging behind, you are running ahead. You have proven yourself in the adult world, as in your costume design with the drama department and internship. And I will always remember you as the student who solidly stepped into her future, even with her feet still walking the path of her senior year. In unknown of the days ahead, declare the words of 2 Corinthians 12, 9, and 10 over your life. And he has said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me. Therefore, I am well content with weakness, with insults, with distresses, with persecutions, with difficulties, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. You are his beloved. Be unafraid to make Jesus famous. Josh Willis. Though they may often look the same on the surface, there is a vast distinction between being a people pleaser and being someone who genuinely cares for people. The people pleaser sees relationship as a means to an end because he finds security through affirmation. The man of compassion, however, lays down his life for the well-being of others. You are far more than the laid-back, amiable young man people see at first glance. You care deeply for people, and you are one of the most humble students I have ever taught. I learned even more about you the day you were injured in a pickup game of basketball after school. Personally, I think Will Newton took you out on purpose. You were winning, right? That day, and in the days following, I saw quiet heroism, not the inflated, overconfident positioning of a young man who doesn't want to appear weak, but rather that of someone who knows that grace becomes evident in a right response to adversity. As you head out from this place you have called home, may you continue to be a strong warrior for the kingdom of God, and may Isaiah 30:18 be your battle cry. Therefore, the Lord longs to be gracious to you, and therefore he waits on high to have compassion on you. For the Lord is a God of justice. How blessed are all those who long for him.
David Bakalemwa. In Tanzania, at Haven Peace Academy, where David's father teaches mathematics, David was selected from among his peers to attend Westminster because they saw his potential and his servant's heart. Upon his arrival, David immersed himself in American culture and athletics at Westminster. He played varsity football, basketball, and this year is a state champion in soccer. The faculty quickly saw David's potential and his ability to grasp difficult concepts and carefully think through challenging problems. This year alone, David took AP Biology, AP Statistics, and most impressively, AP Computer Science. David knows several languages, including English, Swahili, and now Java. Wheaton College has offered him a highly competitive, all-inclusive international scholarship. Yes, David, that includes food. David intends to study business and computer science. David, you've grown in both wisdom and stature. Do you recall the Tanzanian proverb, a wise person will always find a way? David, don't give in when you're challenged and temptations point you down the wrong path. As you pack your belongings for those cold Chicago winters, and yes, you may actually stop sweating, remember Colossians 3:12. Clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And I can't agree more with your parents who, in Swahili, wrote in your yearbook, of their gratefulness to God for your growth, progress, and their desire that the Lord Jesus, Bwana Yesu in Swahili, continues to be a part of your life.
My goodness, that's hard to follow. Okay, let's see. I'm honored to speak about Kalen Hightower, if he come, please. Kalen, as we go through life, we're encouraged to do this and to do that, and we sometimes go overboard thinking that there is a masterful plan that we must make for ourselves. We oftentimes become confused and miss the fact that we really need to be ready for the academic and spiritual challenges that lie ahead. Mastering the art of being ready to choose a plan or a direction as opportunities present themselves is a talent that you have embraced. I see you, excited about the athletic opportunities lying ahead of you. You are coachable, hardworking, diligent, and industrious. I see you, laughing with your friends, enjoying their company, being a good listener, endearing yourself to others, and developing those people skills that are most desired in the world today. I see you also pondering the value of a conics rotation in class and knowing full well that that extra time must be spent on these essential math topics. But you really know I'll miss our conversations about sports. I see you light up when talking about baseball. Who knows? You may be a future Cy Young winner or a Golden Glove recipient. Accept and maximize these talents that God has bestowed upon you. And who knows, we might get you back here as a coach or a math teacher. Yeah. And finally, not only do I see you, all of us see you and care for you very much. Keep your excitement, keep laughing, keep thinking, and keep getting ready. Much love from me and all of the teachers at WSA.
As an astute AP government student, Ben Whitlow has already figured out that I can't do too much damage tonight because I don't have the privilege to filibuster. Not only has the Rules Committee severely limited my time, it has attached germaneness requirements to my speech. So I can't be too liberal in my comments, but then again, it's hard to be liberal when there are limits. But Ben knows what it's like to have his speech curtailed. On the first day of school, Mr. Bell limited Ben to 2 comments per day. Otherwise, the class would have become a graduate school version of Crossfire, featuring Ben and his shell-shocked opponents. Ben's intense interest and deep understanding of politics made our class particularly enjoyable this year. Thank you for bringing your expertise to class, for challenging us with inconvenient facts, and for insisting on consideration of different perspectives. I look forward to hearing how you refine your ideas at the University of Georgia and then engage our world in important matters. Ben honed his argumentation skills on the debate team and became proficient at shooting down arguments. So while he's on stage tonight and doesn't have the opportunity for rebuttal, I want to share some advice from some of the most effective political operatives. First, from former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who recently said, "We should all take a deep breath and see where we are and see what more we can or should do." So Ben, take a deep breath. Then after that, consider this debate advice from your favorite interest group, the NRA. First, know your target and what is beyond. Next, use the correct ammunition. And they give more tips on their website. I'm sure you'll check it out. But the most important advice comes from 1 Peter. In your heart, revere Christ the Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. Thanks, Ben.
Jared Hanner, step up. Seriously, for wheels, step up here. LOL, JK. Oh, BT Dubs, I thought you'd appreciate the text language. Oh, no, you didn't. JK, everybody, JK. Rolling on the floor. Oh, I can't say that one. Never mind. We'll keep that on the DL. I digress. You want to enter the medical field of dentistry, yes. Okay, good, because that was really going to mess this speech up. So here are some new text words for you that I found on the professional text site. It's mostly for online gamers, it says, but that's okay. They're going to impact you in some way. So the first one, IAAD. I am a dentist. This is real. I'm not making this up. BYOD, bring your own device, as opposed to whose. DD, due diligence. Totes doing some DD tonight, due diligence. HM Day, happy Mother's Day. I mean, can you not just spell it out? IANAC, I'm not a crook. IGP, I gotta, oh, never mind. OI, operator indisposed. SNERT, snot-nosed, egotistical teenager. It seemed appropriate. I'm just kidding. Totes being a snert. TNSTAAFL. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Everybody's going to get that one. TTTT. These things take time. Love you very much. YBIC, your brother in Christ. YWHNB, yes, we have no bananas. I don't know when that's going to work. Jared, all hashtags and LOLs aside, I would never have heard you speak before. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, I look back at that quiet kid who barely spoke up and surely did not sing 4 years ago. And what I have seen is a transformation of a performer, actor, dancer. BT Dubs, that's called a triple threat. What I see before me is confidence, not arrogance, confidence. You see, King David danced with all his might and wasn't confident in himself, but in God. David found strength in God and his power. I ask you to seek out that same power that's in you. Because we as artists sometimes forget that and tend to just want to create, and we forget to seek the creator. And so I challenge you to do that. George Carlin, I don't know why, but he said, those who dance are considered insane by those who don't hear the music. It's deep, isn't it? Keep hearing the music, Jared. May your life's dance be ever like Robert Frost calling it a vertical expression, our worship to God. We'll keep cheering you on. You just keep dancing. Grace Goodell, drama, 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 so much drama. No, I mean, she's involved in drama. I didn't mean to suggest that you are yourself dramatic off the stage. I mean, I'm sure that everyone always reads your expressions and emotions accurately, right? I remember first meeting you as a third grader. It's etched in my memory. I was terrified of you. Those eyes that would just cut over when I would try to joke, and I was really afraid. You have possessed an extraordinary ability to make me think I know exactly what you're feeling and be completely wrong, totally wrong. Maybe a little overdramatic, I don't know. It's like I can see your mother and all of her wisdom just looking up and saying, Lord, I'm trying to understand what she's communicating, and the Lord's going, we dramatic people have that gift. I actually wrote in here, hopefully you're not cutting the eyes at me now, so that's good. I'm so glad. I want to be clear that I know you didn't just do drama, you did other things. You went on debate trips, which are free from any drama at all. You work at Methnasium, which is free from any drama at all. You competed with the varsity cheer team, which is free from any drama at all. At all. You were, however, the badminton manager for a year, as I saw in the yearbook, which is probably free from all drama, or existence, for that matter. Then you came back to the stage and embraced the inner diva by playing 3 super dramatic characters. Milady, who killed a nun and strangled an innocent girl within the same minute, then poisoned another. The mayor's wife of River City, Vita Louise, who ended up, in an asylum. Yeah. I like your quote, though, from C.S. Lewis, who said, you were never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. And my favorite from Luke 1:45 that says, blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promises to her. Grace, your acting days may be over. Only God really knows. Maybe it will happen someday. We don't know. But whether or not that ever happens or not, what you've left here is indelible. You've left an impression on these younger actresses below you. You've loved them. You've encouraged them. You've stood by them. With your dramatic side comes such a passion and drive that I'm truly convinced nothing and no one could stop you from fulfilling whatever it is. No one will mess with you. I'm eager to see what God will do, and I can't wait to see what all you accomplish. I'm going to leave you with the words of a dear friend of mine, George Greiner. He said, these are the 3 things God says: be still, wait, and go. You have to be ready for which one is going to come at which time, but when he says go, be ready. And I know it'll be dramatic. Lawson Powers. You all think you know this guy, but you don't. He has pulled the blind things over your faces. He has covered his skin with sheep's wool. He has crept in like a burglar, stolen our opinions and things. Lawson, I have one question for you. Who do you think you are? What gives you the right? You see, Lawson's quote in the yearbook is Michael Scott, so I wanted my opening to be like that. So I realize some of you are very confused, and it's okay. It probably won't ever make sense. But I'll explain more about that later. Let's give some backstory on Lawson, for those of you that don't know him. The forensics team arrives on a trip in Atlanta for a tournament. At the hotel, Lawson realizes that he has no dress clothes and that they are sitting at my classroom at school. So Mr. Jewett and I take him to Walmart in Atlanta at 11 p.m. to buy dress clothes on a Friday night, which makes a big difference. However, I kept things as comfortable as possible, so I made him try on the clothes and come out and model them for me, and because his parents weren't there to say, that looks good, that's too tight, whatever. So I had to do that. Fortunately, they were located in the women's undergarment section. As I have learned all Walmart changing rooms are. But the doors were locked after whatever time because, somebody could go in there and steal the nothing that's in there. So Lawson crawled under the doors to get in there to make it better. He comes walking out, which, by the way, it was a cost to me because I'm standing, next to the things. And I'm, waiting. So he comes out. The shirt is huge. The pants are huge. Like everything he ever puts on is just gigantic. And I just looked at him and said, That's perfect. We're ready for a tournament. Okay, now back to the opening about Michael Scott, because, you know, this is his whole quote in the yearbook is about Michael Scott. So he likes fictitious characters, obviously. He also, as Grace says, likes fictitious things like varsity badminton, which he apparently competed in from 9th to 12th grade, as I read in the yearbook today. What you don't know is buried in the yearbook somewhere is encrypted that there's some other fictitious things that he also did that none of you, even the seniors, know about. I'm going to list those now. That's right. The Check Out My Lovely Hair Club, which he was the first male inductee. The member of the Korean Children's Choir? I don't understand. Georgia Tech Fan Club? Really? I'm surprised at that. The Reader's Digest Club. The Slowest Voicemail Messages Club. Mr. Owen, it's Lawson. I was just calling to maybe tell you something. I don't know. And I can't read that. You'll have to read it later. That's just too mean. In all seriousness, Lawson, you're an extremely funny guy. I'm proud of your success in forensics, the fact that you are now a published author. Maybe you're a published author too. And it happened the same time for both of us, which is really special. Your characters always shine through with your humor, and I believe God has a sense of humor, and he's okay. Well, I hope he's okay with it. If he's not, I'm in a lot of trouble. Use that humor and comedy in ways to further his kingdom. As you go to UGA, find ways to do that, to use your gifts for his glory. You're a good guy, a loyal guy, a friend. Keep making people laugh and keep sharing that gift with others. One Bible remains. Everybody gets their stuff. Yee-hee. We're only halfway through, guys. I'm not kidding. Brenton Durkee. We've had so many unforgettable moments, like the time you used that expired fire extinguisher, or the time you used the garden rake to close the bay door of the shop. You know, it is such a good thing that Mr. Newbury isn't here, because if he was, can you imagine how awkward that, Oh, man, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. Oh, so sorry. Brenton, you are doing what few Westminster graduates can do, crossing the Mason-Dixon line, going north to NYU. Danny Meyer, a St. Louis native and noted restaurateur, said, in the same way that there are more Jews in New York than any other place except Israel, there are now more Southerners in New York than anywhere except the South. Did you know that? I just read this in gardenandgun.com. The South is invading New York City, and you're a part of that. Congratulations. I have confidence in you. For someone else who played varsity badminton for 4 years of high school, I don't know how this made it in the yearbook, but it did, and was listed as a good friend for 3 years. Just from grades 10 to 12, it says good friend. That's in your activities list. What were you like your 9th grade year? Oh, I remember who was here. Never mind. And based on your senior quotes, you were clearly about business and not fluff. No. Not with quotes like Arnold Glasgow. Anybody know him? Success isn't a result of spontaneous combustion. You must set yourself on fire. Arnold Glasgow, who, by the way, is a columnist for a Reader's Digest. For those of you who don't know, that's the book that goes in the basket by the commode. I mean, that's where I was. I'm sorry. The second quote, Adam Lindsay Gordon. Who? Adam Lindsay Gordon. There comes a point in your life when you realize who matters, who never did, who won't anymore, and who always will. And there's another part that you skipped. Don't worry about people from your past. There's a reason why they didn't make it into your future. I worry that that's me now. Adam Lindsay Gordon. This is a cool guy. I studied on him today. Thank you for that. This guy was, he was interesting. Kicked out of school twice. Had a best friend named Gunnar Jingo. who was, he ended up killing himself, but we don't have to say that. However, Queen Elizabeth quoted this guy in a speech. So you've quoted a guy that Queen Elizabeth, of course, she quoted it as unknown. But I don't know what that means. Brenton, the point is this guy was kind of a psychopath. You don't really need to listen to him. Listen, I may be the only person that could tell you this, but you can trust me. I don't have a friend named Gunnar Jingo. You can trust me. So listen, I of anyone appreciate humor. I know how hardworking you are, what a servant you have been, mainly to me when others left, when others quit, and when others stood there staring at me sometimes like they didn't know what was going on. You were still there working. You are a conductor, as Peligroso. You are an actor, a techie, a friend. I'm honored to both send you off and make a little fun of you, that you will hopefully forgive me for. I will miss you. You have left an indelible mark on the students and theater and the school as a whole. And as Mr. Glasgow, that the Reader's Digest guy said, success isn't an accident, and you have succeeded. So please do not set yourself on fire, literally, as you almost did that day at Westminster. I got it.
So we talked all night about the rest of our lives, where we're gonna be when we turn 25. I keep thinking times will never change. Keep on thinking things will always be the same. But when we leave this year, we won't be coming back. No more hanging out, cause we're on a different track. And if you got something that you need to say, you better say it right now, cause you don't have another day. Cause we're moving on and we can't slow down. These memories are playing like a film without sound, and I about tomorrow like we think about now? Can we survive it out there? Can we make it somehow? I guess I thought that this would never end, and suddenly it's like we're women and men. Will the past be a shadow that will follow us round? Will these memories fade when I leave this town? I keep thinking that it's not goodbye. I keep on thinking it's our time to fly. As we go on, we remember all the times we had together. And as our lives change, come whatever, we will still be friends forever. As we go on, we remember all the times we had together. And as our lives change, come whatever, we will still be friends forever. As we go on, we remember all the times we had together. And as our lives change, come whatever, we will still be friends forever. I said, remember this moment in the back of my mind. The time we stood with our shaking hands, the crowds in stands went wild. We were the kings and the queens, and they read off our names. The night you danced like you knew our lives would never be the same. You held your head like a hero on a history book page. It was the end of a decade, but the start of an age. Long live the walls we crashed through, all the kingdom lights shine just for me and you. I was screaming, long live all the magic we made, and bring on all the pretenders. One day we will be remembered. I said, remember this feeling. I passed the pictures around of all the years that we stood there on the sidelines, wishing for right now. We are the kings and the queens. You traded your baseball cap for a crown, and they gave us our trophies, and we held them up for our town. And the cynics were outraged, screaming, this is absurd. 'Cause for a moment a band of thieves in ripped up jeans got to rule the world. Long live the walls we crashed through. that you'll stand by me forever. But if God forbid fate should step in and force us into a goodbye, if you have children someday, when they point to the pictures, please tell them my name. Tell them how the crowds went wild. Tell them how I hope they shine. Long live the walls we crashed through. I had the time of my life with you. Long, long live the walls we crashed through. How the kingdom lights shine just for me and you. And I was screaming, long live all the magic we made, and bring on all the pretenders. I'm not afraid, singing long live all the mountains we moved. I had the time of my life fighting dragons with you. And long, long live that look on your face, and bring on all the pretenders. One day we will be remembered.
On my way, 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 on my way. I would like to reach out my hand, me say, me tell you to run. On my way, on my way. Nobody say, nobody on. Well, pick me up with golden hand. Me say, me tell you to run. On my way, on my way. Nobody say, nobody on. Well, I would like to hold my little hand. I will run, I will cry. I would like to hold my little hand. I will run, I will cry. Send me in my way, send me in my way, send me in my way, send me on my way, send me in my way, send me in my way, send me on my way.
Thank you, Brenton Durkee, for making that video. Let's give him a round of applause. So since this night is coming to a close, I will try to make my words as long as possible. In all seriousness, Mr. Menendez, you never gave me a time limit, so joke's on you. Now I would first like to thank all our parents and step-parents. On behalf of the senior class, we would like to thank you for all the time you have spent with us, all the support you have given us. You have helped us financially, given us support in athletics, fine arts, spiritually, and I guess genetically as well. Second category I would like to mention would be the Westminster community. I would like to thank you, all our teachers who have helped shape our opinions and shape our lives, shape our beliefs throughout the years of teaching us. You have prepared us for college and have done a great job of that. Last category I would like to thank is all others, so grandparents, siblings, youth leaders as well, for all the support you have given us throughout the years. We would not have made it to this pinnacle they call graduation without you. Now, it is long-standing tradition at Westminster that all the seniors come up and they take a rose, and then they take that rose to their mother, stepmother, or another person who has had a significant impact on their lives. So I ask all the seniors to come up, to grab a rose, or maybe two, and to take it. Thank you.
Pray and hope that everyone enjoyed their evening. And I, again, on behalf of the faculty and staff at Westminster, we cannot be any prouder of your children. And we just can't wait for them to celebrate again tomorrow. As I said yesterday, we all wish we probably had a little bit more time with this class. So it's a special time for us. And let me go ahead and just close this evening in prayer, and we can be off on our way. So let's pray. Gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the blessing of the spoken word. We thank you for the blessing that this senior class has had on each and every one of us as a Westminster community and on each other. As I said to them this morning, may you bless them. May you bless them. May you bless them. As George said this evening, may these students go and change the world. May they cling to you and you cling on them. Father, we are ever so grateful to have had even just a glimpse and an opportunity to be in the lives of these young men and women. So I close this evening with that in mind, with our thankful hearts, knowing that we've had that opportunity. May we go about our evening and come back, may we all come back tomorrow to further celebrate these young men and women and their accomplishment over the past 4 years at Westminster. We love you and we praise you. Pray all these things in your name. Amen.